SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friends, after having discussed the necessity to convey a dialogue between the arts and the science and technology, today let us see whether the folk arts of India has the potential to convey science and technology effectively. In this class, we will discuss what are the scope of Indian folk art and whether they are able to convey and communicate science and technological discoveries effectively. So, representation of science and technology with Indian folk art. So, what are the scope of Indian folk art? What do they entail and what do they mean for the general public? They are organic, as we have already discussed in the previous classes. They come out from the community themselves, they are from the community themselves, the community themselves build this kind of art. So, they are organic, they are inbuilt, they are from the community themselves. Because they are organic, because they are created by the community themselves, because they are born from the community themselves, they are widely accepted and they have a wide recognition. They have a large vocabulary. We have seen in the previous classes that Indian folk art has the ability to communicate and convey a large range of things, from worldly philosophy to day to day matters, from emotions to angry, love, hatred. They have a large vocabulary. They are able to express a lot many things and lot many topics at once. Easy mode of communication. We have seen that it is very easy mode of communication, it is direct, it is from one person to the other. So, there is nothing in between. So, they are very easy and they are very lucid mode of communication and to convey things that the person wants to convey to the other. Low cost, most of the folk art are very low cost. We have seen that they are built by the community themselves and they have very minimum mechanical aid, very minimal things from outside. They are done from whatever is available around them. So, they are very low cost, they are vibrant and they are diverse. We have seen that India is full of different kinds of folk art. They are very vibrant, they are very lively and they are very diverse. One folk art is different from the other, though they may thematically they might be similar, like we have seen in Madhubani and other wall art. They might be thematically similar, but they have a different kinds of representation, they have different kinds of execution. So, they are diverse across the country and they are very very lively and vibrant, they are alive. So, these are the few scope that I have mentioned that that folk art are able they entail this many things, they contain this many things. So, these are the strength of folk arts. So, I must tell you once again that in this course we are not trying to simplistically represent science and technological discoveries and advances using folk art, but what we are trying to do is something more than that. We are trying to create a dialogue between the folk art of India with science and technology. That is to say that both this domain of knowledge are at par with each other and none is less from the other. So, it is not to simplistically represent science and technology through Indian folk art, but to demonstrate that there is possibility of the two domains to have a dialogue with one another and they can be at par with one another, they can be like equals and they can have things that they can share or they can have a dialogue, they can borrow from one and share with the other. So, these are the things that we are trying to do through this course. So, let us now discuss forms of folk art and their strengths. What are the different forms of folk art we have and what are the strength of each of them. One is narrative, we have already discussed. Narrative are the ones which are said from the mouth, they are the words of the mouth, and more often than not they are not written down, they are just passed on from one generation to other generation by the word of the mouth. They can be riddle, they can be idioms, they can be songs, they can be phrases, there are jokes, these are all narrative folk art. Performative, so dance, drama, then sometimes the theatre forms, these are all performative art. Nowadays many of the martial art forms are also performative art. Visual art, we have discussed this in extensively. Visual arts are the paintings, the sculptures, and anything that is tangible can also be a visual art. So, what are the strength of this different folk art form? So, the strength of narrative folk art is that they are easily comprehensible, the language is very simple, they are not made complex, they are not made unnecessarily complicated, they are very simple, they are easily understood, they are simple worded, they are simple expression, so that the person trying to convey a thing can easily convey to the other without much problem. Many times they are very explanatory. We have seen that phrases and riddles and all, they are explanatory. They tell you a lot of things. They they convey a lot of things and they explain what it means. So we can cite an example of an idiom like kal kare so aaj kare so ab. That means do the things which are supposed to be done later, do it now, finish it now, so that you can respect time, you can give importance to time. Only if you give importance to time you will rise in life. So these are the things that are very simplistically told, so that the listener is able to understand easily. So this is one of the strength of a narrative folk art. Few narrative art such as riddles and idioms encapsulate deep philosophy in short precise manner. So you must have you must be having examples from your own culture, like there would be some riddles in your own language, in your own culture, and there would be idioms, phrases which has a lot of deep meaning, deep philosophy, but they are told to you in a very simple manner, so that you understand a lot of things in a very precise and a very crisp manner. So this is another strength of narrative folk art. They will use it and relatable, these things are very related, you can relate to them. When somebody talks about time, when somebody talks about goodness, when somebody talks about kindness, when somebody says that do not rob others, or whatever you do to others will come back to you. These are very relatable and they are very easy to understand. You understand them very easily and it can be applied to your day to day life. So these are few of the strengths I have mentioned about narrative folk art. Then comes performative. They are very vibrant and captivating. You must be having examples from your own culture that the performative arts are very lively, are very captivating. If you see a dance, you feel like dancing yourself. If you hear a song, if you see a drama, you get totally engrossed in it. So they are very captivating, they are very vibrant, and they are able to hold your attention for a long time. These art forms are enchanting and easily reproducible. You might have seen, if you are staying in town, it might be little difficult, but if you have seen it if you are living in a little rural area, you might see that many of the dances, the performances, the entire village or the entire community participates. It is not a performer and an observer, everyone is a performer there. So it is very easily reproducible. You can pick up the dance moves very easily because it is a community activity. So they are very enchanting. You feel like joining yourself, looking at them, you feel like trying the dance move yourself. So these are this is a few of the strength of performative folk art. Then visual, often they are very appealing. We have seen many folk art from our country. They are very appealing. They are they they are able to catch your attention. You get very attracted to them. They are vibrant colors sometimes they are very figuratively they are very nicely placed. Sometimes they are very are very intriguing. So, they are very appealing to you. Whenever you look at the visual art, you get attracted to them. The vocabulary contain large scope of representing wide topics and ideas. So, we have as we have seen in the previous classes, we had discussed many folk visual art, folk paintings from India, and we have seen that many this art are able to represent or to convey many different meanings at one time. So, we have seen how like during a birth these paintings are done, that is to say that you are invoking blessings from the gods, or sometimes you are talking about whatever is found nearby, whatever is found, the flora and fauna, you are talking about that, or sometimes you are talking about deep philosophy, sometimes you are talking about God, sometimes you are symbolically showing what is important to the community life. So, they have a large vocabulary, which is this is why they are able to represent a lot many different and diverse topics through them. So, this is a strength of visual folk art. So, now I want to discuss a little bit about what are the kind of experiments we are doing at the Indian Institute of Science, with science, technology at one hand and art, Indian folk art at another. So, the experiment at Indian Institute of Science is that the humanities course of the undergraduate program, the philosophy behind is that with the while we were designing these courses, we had a philosophy in mind. We thought that it is not always advisable or not always clever to design the humanities courses as distant from the science and technology which the students are learning, but they have to have a synergy with one another, they have to have a free flow with one another. So, this was the kind of thinking that we had put while we were designing the courses. So, the philosophy was that in order that the science and technology community provide effective leadership in matters of development, these are some examples: development, agriculture, industry, health, and in order to ensure that knowledge production takes into account the interpenetration of natural and human worlds, we need a broader conception of science and its deep and complex relation with society and culture. We often think that science and technology has nothing to do with society and culture. Scientists are not they are removed from the society, but we have to change this notion at some point. And so, this courses, when we were developing the humanities courses of undergraduate program, we wanted to have a synergy. We wanted the humanities and the social science to have a dialogue with science and technology. So, these were some of the thoughts that were there, that we have to give importance to the interpenetration of the natural and the human world, and we have to say that the science and technology has a very deep and complex relationship with society and culture. These were the things that we were keeping in mind while designing the course. So, I want to discuss a bit about the Mapping India 3D Folk Art course. So, this is a course that is taught to the undergraduate students. So, as part of this course, what we try to do is we try to understand India not by the written word, not by text, but we try to understand India through the vibrant folk arts. So, every year we discuss a different art form. It might be visual art in one year, it might be performative art, performative folk art in another year, it might be a narrative art in the other year. So, we take a different form of folk art and we see its continuation and diversity across the country. So, this is how we try to understand the country, by looking at the folk art. So, as I had mentioned earlier, that we see the folk art as not something that is thrust upon the community, but they are born from the community themselves. So, they are they talk a lot about the worldview of the community. They talk about their hopes and aspirations, they talk about their values, they talk about the worldview. So, looking at the folk art, we try to understand the community from inside out, not outside in. So, we try to understand the community from their own perspective. So, this is what we try to do in this course, that is to understand India through looking at the Indian folk arts. So, understand a nation little better by understanding the folk arts. So, this is what we try to do in this course. As a corollary of this course, what we try to do every year is to build a synergy between the Indian folk arts and science and technology. So, every year the students themselves take up the responsibility of representing something related to science and technology, and using folk art as a medium. So, this is again not to say that we are just using the folk art as a medium of expression, as a medium of communication, but we are trying to explore that does the Indian folk art have the ability, have the vocabulary, have the scope of having a dialogue with science and technology, whether they have enough tools to talk about science and technology effectively. So, the experiment has been fairly successful. We have been able to produce a lot of artifacts through this course. I will give you an example, few of the examples in the subsequent slides. So, what is the pedagogical approach? Again, we are treading a very delicate terrain, while we are trying to say that we want to have an interdisciplinary course, we want to have we want to establish a dialogue between folk art and science and technology. What should our approach be? Should we what are the things that we should keep in mind while designing this kind of a course? Very often than not, sometimes the art are just reduced to amusement. We were very careful about this. We were careful about that they are not reduced to just mere source of amusement or entertainment, but we should take them seriously as a heritage of a community. Also, while doing this, I tell the students, and I am telling you also again and again, that if you want to practice a folk art, you are most welcome to do, but we must not assume that a person just can become an expert in folk art. The folk artists take generations after generations, they learn it through observation. It is a part of the cultural identity, and an outsider can just have a taste of it, just have a try at it, but we cannot claim that we have become an expert in the art. Having said that, we should also take note that folk art are very flexible, they are very inclusive, and they are very accommodative. So, one can try and understand or take part in the folk art, but we should keep in mind that we do not become expert. We are just appreciate people who appreciate them. We are admirers of the art, and we can just try our hands sometimes, but we cannot become expert unless and until we have lived in the community and we have been part of the cultural life. So, what is the pedagogical approach that we apply while designing and teaching such a course? We emphasize that scientists are part of the society. So, we are teaching this course to students who are doing science. So, we have to emphasize that scientists are not removed from the society, but they are part of the society. They cannot be blind towards the societal whatever is happening in the society or whatever is happening around them, but they have to live in the society. So, they are part of the society and they should be aware of what is happening in and around them. Scientists and technological excellence cannot be attained without accounting for human and environmental concerns. So, one cannot become a great scientist or a technological expert unless and until he or she takes into account the societal necessities or the environmental concerns. More and more it is felt that unless and until you take care of the environmental concerns and environmental issues, we will not go anywhere. We have seen that we have already done so much of damage to the environment. Science and technology has been part of the damage to certain extent. So, one should be cognizant of this, one should be be aware of this, that whatever we are doing should not be harmful to our environment, should not be harmful to the human race. So, scientific and technological excellence cannot be attained without accounting for human and environmental concerns. So, these are the things that I tell my students when we are discussing such the issues. So, these are the few approaches that I have applied while I was designing, and while we execute the course, while we are teaching the course. The third is, folk art is one way to understand the hope, aspiration and worldview of the masses. At the same time, it is a medium to appreciate the knowledge of common people. So, as I have told you earlier, that we see folk art as a knowledge, as a heritage of the community. It is a heritage, it is a cultural expression of the community. So, we see this as the knowledge base of the common people. We see folk art as a window to the to understanding the hope, aspirations and worldview of the common people. So, these are the three pedagogical approach that we have applied while designing such a course. It is one of the pioneer course. So, things have to be thought about, and I want to also emphasize that in this course also we want to have this kind of approach, that we have science and technology should be should have a relationship with this society and culture. So, as part of the course, as I have mentioned to you, that arting science is domain that the students are creating year after year. So, in the domain of painting, music, theatre, dance. So, we take up one folk art form every year, and this through this form we try to understand the country, and at the end of the course the students create a artifact which tries to establish a synergy between the science and technology at one hand, and Indian folk art at another. So far we have done paintings, music, theatre, dance, and sometimes we have done thematical things, like we have in one year we have done ecology. So, in subsequently I would like to show you some of the examples from them. So, I have told you in the previous class also that this is a book that we have published in the year 2016, we call it Arting Science. So, this was the year when the students, the UG students of Indian Institute of Science, the 2012 batch, they were asked to represent a scientific concept using any Indian folk art, any Indian visual folk art. And the paintings that the students had created was compiled into this book, and it was published in 2016 by IIT Press. So, this is a Madhubani art. So, here the students are representing the Mendel's first law of inheritance in Madhubani. Retaining the traditional fish and lotus motif, this work is a representation of colorful Bharni style of Madhubani. You have gone through the Madhubani class, so you might be able to relate it, that the fish is a typical Madhubani style fish, and even the lotus is very common motif in Madhubani style. So, this is metamorphosis in church art style done in glass. This work depicts the transformation of being shaped and captured by sin into something better and vibrant by the process of release. So, keeping the ideas of the church teaching, this painting tells that one is able to change their inner self to something better every time. So, this is twin paradox in Fud. This scroll painting depicts a story of in 4 scenes. The king loves the girl, but his proposal of marriage is disapproved because of their age difference. The king embarks on a trip in a spaceship and which can travel at speed close to light. During this period, the girl ages faster than the king and is fit for marriage upon the return. So, this is a very sweet representation, a sweet story which is represented in Phud style, and it is showing the time travel idea of science. This is phagocytosis in cereal. You must have learnt about phagocytosis in your school. The typical red colored has been maintained to show the combat between antigen and antibody against a characteristic regal setting. So, serial style is a painting style of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, where the war scenes are depicted mostly between the king or the nobles of the kingdom with the enemies. So, and the background is often not often, it is always red. So, in this painting also the students have maintained the red background and they are showing the antigen antibody combat. This is again a Madhubani painting and they are showing hydroponics. Opposite to the art form, this work depicts the daily life of opposite of the art form, this work depicts the daily life of a rural woman venerating the tulsi plant. So, Madhubani style, as we have seen earlier, that it depicts the rural life, the rural values and the rural world view. So, here also they are trying to show that how lady of a household is worshipping the tulsi plant, which is revered in Indian customs. The plant is shown growing without any soil, using only water. The side panel show the process of hydroponics of growing plants in water alone with dissolved nutrients and a wire mesh is at the base. So, if you pay attention to the side panel, the process is also shown how a plant can be grown without soil, but only with water and nutrients. This is again a church art style. Mathematics may be twisted at times both literally and figuratively. The perplexing yet blatantly logical idea of the Mobius strip is represented in grand church art on glass. So, this is a representation of the Mobius strip in church art style. This is Kalamkari of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The mirror image is shown here. The artwork represents two-dimensional figuratively the artwork represents two-dimension reflective symmetry of a motif typical of Kalamkari art. So, this motif is very typical of Kalamkari art. If you have come across Kalamkari, you have you would have definitely come across such a motif. So, here they are showing the reflective image through Kalamkari art. This is collage conjecture in Sanji. At a metaphorical level, this work represents the principle of unity in diversity. It depicts that each leaf through varied form from each other, though varied from each other, ultimately rose from the same base. This is closely related to collage conjecture, which where every number seems to reach unity at the end of the process. So, this is a complex mathematical theory which is represented in Sanji art style. Sanji art style is a paper cutting style popular in Uttar Pradesh area. This is Worli art and here they are showing accretion, a theory in physics. Accretion is shown here to represent urbanization. The city with its intense pull is attracting population of the nearby village, forming an accretion disk. So, here the accretion is shown that how urbanization pulls people from the rural areas and urban areas get more and more crowded. So, this is what it is shown in this Worli art. This is again Worli art, it is showing human evolution. This work is a modern rendition of the Worli art, human evolution from ape to Homo erectus, from books to laptop has been highlighted, heightened by the progression depicted in the background from tribal society to industrial society. If you pay attention to the background, you will see how they are first showing the tribal society and how they have finally progressed to something what we call as modern, and you can see nuclear explosion, industrialization has happened. This is animal evolution in Gond art. This intricate artwork shows the distinctive lines and dot pattern of the Gond art form. The art shows the evolution of animal world in a flow chart. So, this is shown in a flow chart how animals have evolved. It is done in Gond art style, very intricate designs, very intricate patterns are shown here. If you remember the Gond class that we have had, we have seen that the Gond art is represented with dots and lines. It is very typical representation of the Gond art style. Extension of dinosaur in Sohrai painting. This work done on plaster of Paris gives the texture of the mud wall, retaining the original theme of nature of the tribal art, the theory of dinosaur extinction by meteors is shown. So, this is giving you a feeling of the mud wall. It is done in plaster of Paris, and here the extinction of dinosaurs is shown. Significance of zero in Zamani Roy style Kalighat painting. This work, featuring an Indian mathematician, an Arab trader, a cow and a camel, is an ode to the discovery of zero by Indian mathematician and dispersal of its significance by the Arab traders. Wormhole is introduced to connect the distinct parts of the world. So, it is said that the significance of zero was discovered in India and the Arab traders have popularized it. So, here the wormhole, the concept of wormhole is introduced to show that how the two worlds are connected. So, friends, today we have seen some of the examples from visual art. In the next class, I would like to show you some of the examples from other folk art. We will show you examples from dance, we will show you examples from theatre, we will show you examples from music. So, this is to give you an idea that it is possible for the Indian folk art to have a dialogue with science and technology. It is possible that Indian folk art can effectively represent science and technology, and they can both have a exchange of ideas and exchange of concepts. So, see you in the next class.